What's up guys, TechLab here. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a trip back in time all the way back to 2015. Now 2015 was a great time for gaming across the board, regardless of whether it was on the console or the PC. But in today's video we wanted to actually see what life was like for your average mid-range PC gamer. So then, 2015 may feel like it was a lifetime ago, and for many it probably does feel that way. When it comes to hardware, that is particularly true because things have moved on a lot since the actual release of hardware back then, and even the competition kind of thing has actually changed dramatically as well. It took a few years for people like AMD to catch up within the CPU space, although they haven't really changed much when it comes to the GPUs. To be able to find out what life was like though for an average mid-range PC gamer, we'd of course need to build a system, and this is one I built earlier. For those of you with a keen eye, you will of course notice that this case is not from 2015 and neither is the power supply. We've just used these components here just to basically be a box for our system, and it actually helps us carry things around because this little deep cool CH160 Plus actually comes with a handle on the top, so just made things a little bit easier. And of course we wanted to use a brand new power supply because we don't want any issues with the hardware itself. But what is actually important is what's inside of it. Like I say, Intel was dominating the market back in 2015, particularly when it came to CPUs, and they offered a great range. This was the time when the Intel's 6th generation was released. A lot of people kind of had a bit of a poo-poo on that generation because again, Intel were continuing to release 4-core and quad-core based processors, but they did change after this one. But this is technically the type of stuff you had. For the CPU in this system, we're using the Intel Core i5-6500. That is a 4-core, 4-thread processor, and it was not only popular in gaming builds because of its price to performance, but it was also popular in a lot of pre-built systems for things like offices and that. So you can actually find these with ease nowadays, and they don't cost you a lot at all. When it was new, it probably would have cost you around £200, and that's kind of the limit we've put on our CPU today to make it a mid-range system. We've kind of put the limit of around 200 up to £200 for the CPU and around 250 to 300 for the graphics cards. And now of course the CPU inside of this needs to sit in a motherboard, and we're using a very basic H110M board here. It's not necessarily a mid-range board, but it's not actually that important really because performance is not going to be any different between this one and even a higher end one. So that is the board that we're going to be using, and it fits in this case perfectly fine. It's going to run the system as it would have done all the way back then. For RAM, your average PC gamer was actually using around 8 gigabytes back in 2015, which kind of feels really weird nowadays considering that we're all trying to push towards that 64 gigabytes, although realistically trying to get 64 gigabyte nowadays is really hard because of the pricing. Even if you're looking at something like a DDR4, that's exactly what this system's using, and even though it was priced relatively high back in 2015, it wasn't anywhere near what the prices are today. But we are running it in dual channel here, and we've got 2 sticks of 4 gigabyte. At least that does give our processor access to the proper speed of RAM that it actually needs, and it is still definitely something gamers would have done back then. For storage, we're just using a very basic 1 terabyte SATA SSD. Now SATA SSDs back in 2015 were actually coming forward. They were something that gamers were starting to use more and more of, and the hard drive was starting to become the secondary drive. So again, it's not too important in terms of the storage that we're using here, but it will at least give us the benefits of the speeds that gamers would have been using back then too. Now the most important part of any gaming PC is of course the graphics card. It just isn't a gaming PC without one, and back then in 2015, Nvidia and AMD had some great competition going on, particularly at the mid-range level. Of course, Nvidia had the GTX 980 Ti, which was its flagship at the time, and that was the super high-end stuff that your average mid-range gamers weren't actually purchasing, so they were dominating the high-end stuff. But when it came to the mid-range, AMD had some pretty decent offerings, particularly when it came to price to performance. For the graphics card that we've got inside this system, we have opted for the AMD Radeon R9 380X. The exact model that we've got in here today is the Sapphire Nitro. It is an exceptionally good looking card. It performs exceptionally well as well. It requires 2 6-pin connections, which was pretty standard at the time, and I've also got the box for this one. This is something that I purchased probably about a year ago or something like that, and I paid nowhere near £200 for it. They're very cheap nowadays. You can pick them up off of eBay for £40 to £50 if you look around and you want a nice boxed one. And unfortunately AMD did drop the driver support for these, so playing modern games is a little bit touch and go, but back then it was perfectly adequate. So All in all, what do you get when you actually have this type of system together? Well, in 2015, if you were a gamer sitting there with this kind of specification, you had a pretty decent machine on your hands. You had something that should have been able to play the latest and greatest games, aiming at those higher FPS and resolution types, not 1440p. It would have still strictly been a 1080p machine, and that's exactly what we're going to stick to today when we do some testing. So let's get this system hooked up and see what kind of experience people would have got. Okay, so it's 2015 and we've got our new gaming PC, and the one game that we've been waiting for is of course Grand Theft Auto 5. Now this game was originally released on consoles about 2 years prior to it coming out on the PC, but a lot of PC gamers were waiting for this and it became extremely popular. It was probably one of the biggest titles of that year, particularly in terms of games that continue to get played, because people still even play it today, waiting for Grand Theft Auto 6, of course. Now, back in 2015, your average mid-range gaming PC probably played this perfectly fine, but of course we're going to find that out today. It had extremely long loading times. Eventually they did fix it, but it still actually takes a while for things to start up. Of course, with our Radeon graphics card, we've got the access to the Radeon tool sets. They did actually include that in the last drivers that they ever made, which were a few years old now. They haven't supported the R9 380X in a long time, but it should play 2015 games still perfectly fine. Just while we wait for the game to load, we are going to be keeping the resolution today to 1080p. That was the most popular resolution back in 2015. It very quickly ramped up compared to its predecessors, and most people at this point would have had LCD monitors, or at least things like maybe IPS monitors and things like that. Even average PC gamers, to be honest. There's not a lot changed when it comes to resolution. Of course, we are aiming for 1440p and 4K nowadays, but again, the most popular today is still 1080p. Now, I'm going to pop over to story mode for this one, and we're going to double check what the settings are once we're in the game. But yeah, this would have been extremely exciting back then.
One eternity later.
After a long waiting time for this to load, we are finally into game, and things are looking pretty good so far. I don't know what the settings are at the moment, but we're just going to have a quick run around and see what happens. It would have just defaulted to something, and so far we're getting a great performance here of around 90 frames per second with a 1% low of 60, 70, something like that. I'm gonna have to try and remember the keys in this game because it's been a while since I've played it. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to punch that guy there, but let's just try and find ourselves a car. Now the GPU here is running 100%. I'm kind of guessing this is in a high setting, but there is no presets on this game, but we'll see if we can still have some fun anyway. The CPU is roughly running around 93% utilization, 91. So things are actually a great pairing here. If you would have paired up this graphics card with this CPU back in the day, you'd have actually had a very balanced system around. So let's try and find a car. I don't know what the buttons are for the controller. I'm guessing lots of people probably would have played this with controller back in the day, particularly as it came from the console anyway. But we've got to learn ourselves a little micro car now, and we'll see where the performance remains at. While driving around, the performance has dipped a little bit now to around 70 frames per second, but we're still over that 60 FPS. Let's head over into the settings and see what is actually configured now. We don't want that one. We want, it's a little bit slow when trying to load things up here. There's a little bit of a delay, but we'll go down to the graphics. So we have to go up again for graphics. There's a bit of a delay on the actual controls here. So we can see that the stats are all jumping all over the place. It doesn't like it when we're in the menu, but let's have a look what is configured. We're currently using the DirectX version 11, which is probably something a lot of people would have been using back then. The graphics card itself does support DirectX 12. So AMD did a really good thing back then. I think the NVIDIA GeForce series in the 900 series were supporting DirectX 12 as well. So something that they were kind of competing on, although AMD came first with that one. We are using a resolution of 1080p, which we're going to stick to. Then we've got FXAA on, MSAA off, VSync is off. We've got pretty much the population density, population variety, and distance scaling all turned up, and then a lot of the settings are set to either high or very high. So that's actually a good thing here. It means that we are getting some pretty decent performance even with the highest of settings. Will this happen when GTA 6 comes out with today's current hardware? I very much doubt it, but let's get back into game. So we're going to reset some stats there, and we're going to have a bit of a drive around in GTA 5. I remember playing this game originally on the console when it came out, and it was a lot of fun. I haven't really been able to replay the whole game again since, because it just didn't really have the replayability that I liked, to be honest. I did play a bit of the online, but once it came to PC, I tried to give it another go. By then, or by the time I actually came to play it, PCs were much faster than this, but it's nice to know that back in 2015, your average mid-range gaming PC gamer would have actually got a pretty decent performance here. We're still getting on average around 77 frames per second with a 1% lower 51. More than playable, definitely a really smooth experience here, and definitely something that you could play. So this is GTA 5 on an authentic 2015 machine. The game was released in that year, the machine was released in there, but there was a lot of games released in 2015. It was a time when we were just coming out of that yellow filtering phase. Games were starting to get their color again. So let's take a look at a few other games from that era and see how well they perform too.
Let's go.
So as you can see from those benchmarks, if you were a average mid-range gamer with a system just like this one back in 2015, which you could build for roughly about 600 to 650 pounds, you could pretty much play any game that you wanted in 1080p and you would achieve around 60 frames per second. That is not something that we see nowadays, particularly when it comes to more modern hardware. If you are buying in the mid-range sector now, you're looking at something like a 9060 XT, and they will get the job done, but we're not really targeting the high-end resolutions and things that you would have been doing back then. Even 1080p, things have moved on now. But of course, going forward, we want to actually compare this system to the system that came the next year after. We're going to be doing this each year. We're going to move to 2016 on the next one. So we wanted a way of comparing this one to 2016's version and see how well performance kind of grew for these types of gamers over time. And for that, we used the built-in benchmark for Cyberpunk 2077. Now that game is much newer than the systems, of course, but by the time we catch up to 2020, which is roughly when it was released, things should start looking a little bit smarter. And for this system, running that game in a standard 1080p with a high preset, you managed to achieve around 24 frames per second. Now, I'm not going to say that is completely unplayable, because I'm sure it is playable to some people. And if you've got a system like this, of course, you'll want to turn all of those settings down, and you could probably actually get away with playing the game with that. But that does make its way onto the chart, and as soon as we've tested the next system, we'll be able to compare that one too. But there we go. This is a system from 2015. You can definitely get away with playing games back in 2015, pretty much anything that you wanted, brand new releases, and you would have got the expected high performance that people wanted back then of 60 FPS, particularly in 1080p. Moving to 1440p, I'm sure there was plenty of games out there that would actually do that too, but there you go. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this system, and did you have this type of system or an equivalent one back in 2015? What type of games were you playing? Do you still have your system from 2015? And how far do you think it's actually stretched since you've purchased it? Is it still managing to play the games that you want to play, or is it pretty much time to give it a bit of an upgrade now? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch the next one, because like I say, we will be looking at 2016s, and then we'll move on to 2017s to that. And I'm sure, as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.